When I look around this room, I can't help but wonder, is Ozempic right for me?
I don't care if Mindy Kaling is selling Ozempic that she made in her bathtub out of the trunk of her car.
Let's talk about Ozempic.
Ozempic.
Ozempic?
Ozempic.
Ozempic?
Ozempic. Celebs on weight loss injection.
Yeah. All these people are coming for me, saying that I take the weight loss thing.
You open one, you take it.
Oh, in your stomach?
In your stomach.
Celebrities are now hosting Ozempic parties.
And that was therefore the thing that generated hype.
Her face shape and structure has really completely changed. She looks beautiful.
Ozempic?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, that's the fast forward to Skinnyville.
A lot of people in the housewives world are on Ozempic. Suddenly, no one's eating when we go out to dinner.
What's going on, guys? We're gonna be talking about Ozempic. When I did eat.
And now it's like Ozempic, right?
Ozempic, and if
then you lose your booty
on it. Wait, really?
The anti-aging doctor just hands it out to anybody, right? And she goes, if you ever want to drop 5 pounds, this is good.
I've personally pulled everybody I know and everybody they know off of Ozempic.
Stop Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck.
There was found to be a rare type of thyroid cancer.
This still sounds very exciting to me, John. It really does.
I think it is.
I think it's a pretty safe drug.
So as y'all know, you made the request to see an investigation into Ozempic. And let's face it, Ozempic is everywhere. So you may have heard the rumors going around in late 2022, early 2023 about Mindy Kaling having Ozempic parties. Now, I definitely heard those rumors, but I don't know if it was like a Mandela effect or something. We went to a different matrix. Because when you go to try and find those articles and any proof or evidence of that now, it's just gone from the internet.
People are doing Ozempic parties here in LA where they all do Ozempic.
I really don't know. I definitely feel like I remember seeing that, but maybe you also feel that way. If so, we perhaps are trapped in the wrong dimension or something. I don't know. The rumors were that Mindy was injecting her own friends at these parties with a pharmaceutical substance called Ozempic. Or maybe you heard about Ozempic through the Kardashians. Because, you know, recently, I don't know, one of them or some of them or whatever came out and denied that they ever used Ozempic, despite the fact that they do have the alleged Ozempic face situation going on.
Ozempic face.
But hey, look, they said they didn't do it, so I don't know, maybe they didn't. Everyone from Elon Musk to the Real Housewives to Sharon Osbourne and even Amy Schumer, which we'll get into that, have all claimed to have taken the drug, and most of them have claimed that it worked for them. They actually saw the weight loss that they were trying to achieve. Ozempic, if you don't know, like I didn't before recently, is the name brand for a compound known as semaglutide, which is a diabetes medication.
Ozempic is a drug you inject that's meant to improve blood sugar and help manage type 2 diabetes. But because one of the side effects is weight loss, many are using it off-label.
Technically, it's a diabetes medication, but basically in Hollywood and all around, it's now being used as basically just a weight loss supplement, which we'll get into all that in a moment. In any event, it's making people lose a lot of weight. Not just celebrities, all kinds of thousands of people all across the world. There's all these studies, there's all this stuff. And anyway, it started out as a diabetes medicine. It's not on label for weight loss quite yet, but there's some studies and things like that. It is sold under various name brands and in various different doses. Some of the other names are Wegovy, Rybelsus, and then Mounjaro, which is almost the same as Ozempic, but apparently less safe. I don't really know. Now, obviously, I'm not a medical expert. As I always say, you should all go out and do your own research. Everything that we know is just publicly available stuff. But I can tell when there's a manufactured PR propaganda media push going on, okay? It's very obvious to me whenever that is happening, whether I'm a medical expert or not. The amount of bombardment of advertisements, TikTok,
Today's shot day, and I'm gonna show you how to prime the pen.
news articles, celebrity endorsements, and even memes had us all over here at the BJ Investigate Surprise Witness Production Studios a little bit suspicious of what was really going on behind this drug. Obviously, we were wondering if it's too good to be true, which it definitely seems like it is, so we set out to investigate. So our main focus today is going to be on the impact of Big Pharma, the food industry, the government, and traditional advertising have all had in helping to push this drug. Not only is America always searching for the latest miracle weight loss drug, but we are also subjected to constant weight loss advertising and propaganda. Not only that, but here in the USA, we are also subjected to countless ads for all kinds of prescription drug medications, not just for weight loss and diabetes and things like that.
I had shingles. Horrible.
Everywhere. We can literally not escape these advertisements. TV, magazines, billboards, subways, social media, YouTube, Facebook. Everywhere you go in the United States of America, it's like a constant bombardment of pharmaceutical advertisements. So apparently, this is very unique globally. In a lot of other countries, and it seems like almost every single one except like New Zealand, you cannot bombard people with prescription advertisements like this. For whatever reason, they're just throwing it in our face over here. Even aside from the advertisements that they put on TV and billboards, the product placement aspect of the whole thing, and specifically in Hollywood, with this Ozempic Hollywood connection in the last year or so, seems to be the latest route to turning the drug into a fashionable new trend from the Ozempic marketing department. So let's take a look into some of this marketing, shall we? This year, on New Year's Day 2023, when most people, are thinking about their New Year's resolutions and signing up for like Planet Fitness down the street or whatever, 60 Minutes aired a broadcast about the newly hyped diabetes/weight loss drug Ozempic. It was a total propaganda piece, in my opinion. In the broadcast, someone by the name of Dr. Fatima Cody Stanford immediately refers to obesity as a brain disease. Okay, so we actually have the clip here. I thought we could play a short piece of it for y'all and just, honestly, I don't even know.
The story will...
Just waiting for the mothership.
...you in a moment.
Dr. Fatima Cody Stanford, an obesity doctor at Mass General Hospital and associate professor at Harvard Medical School, says common beliefs about obesity are all wrong.
It is your turn to get on that scale.
Plug for the study break that we just made a few weeks ago.
And diet shows, like The Biggest Loser, are snookering people.
If you diet, you lose weight, right?
For many of us, we can go on a diet, something like The Biggest Loser, right? You go and you...
For many, wait, it's gonna be a 3-hour-long video. For many of us, we can go on The Biggest Loser. Also want y'all to notice all the different foods that they show. Most of them are very unhealthy. Like, people are eating French fries and pizza and burgers, and they're like, these people just have no willpower. It's like, girl, listen, I'm obviously not an obesity expert or a doctor. I don't work at Mass General. But this is an Ozempic advertisement. Like, this isn't a real health announcement.
Is that it's an evolutionary survival mechanism that
with the French fries and the chips. The French fries and the chips, evolutionary survival mechanism.
We have to look at
while we
the
just
different
watched
causes
them
of
eating
obesity
fries
as a
and
big pie.
chips.
Get the different causes of obesity as a big pie. And that's one.
Of course it's a pie. It's always a pie. A big pie, y'all. You see what I mean? They talk to us like we're stupid. It's a big pie.
But notice how I'm using this part of the pie, right? But
how could we miss it,
the number
Fatima?
one cause of obesity is genetics. That means if you are born to parents that have obesity.
I am thoroughly confused. Is it a brain disease? Is it caused by your set point you get comfortable at? Is it a genetic brain disease now? Are they going to put us all in conservatorship if we have obesity?
Look, doc, I'm exercising. And the doc says to them, are you sure? I don't believe that that's really what you're doing.
Wait, are you saying that doctors don't...
They do that on 600 Pound Life. I saw it.
Understand obesity? Doctors?
Doctors do not understand obesity.
So now not even doctors understand obesity. So who can we trust? The Ozempic manufacturers. Thank God.
Caroline Apovian, co-director of the Weight Management and Wellness Center at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston.
They just went right to Boston, didn't they?
Exercise is good. Walking a lot.
Who sees both Maya Cohen and Nicole Sams, is relieved that at last she has a highly effective medication to offer her patients.
I need to see if she's getting kickbacks from the manufacturer.
New generation of medications that brings about an impressive average loss of 15 to 22% of a person's weight, and it helps keep it off.
15 to 22% is a substantial amount of weight.
A major issue.
Doctors Apovian.
It seems a little too easy, if you ask me.
And Stanford have been advising companies developing drugs for obesity, including the Danish company.
She is on the advisory board.
Novo Nordisk, an advertiser on this broadcast.
What? Did you say advertiser on this broadcast? Novo Nordisk, the maker of Wegovy, is the advertiser. That's what she just said. Did y'all know that advertisers could sponsor 60 Minutes? 60 Minutes? Is this news or is this a Michaela Noguero TikTok. What the hell is an advertiser on a 60 Minutes? What? An advertiser on this broadcast.
That you inject yourself once a week with something like
Or your friends at parties.
EpiPen. It's not easy to get. The drug is currently
Seems pretty easy to get, girl.
in short supply, and it costs more than $1,300 a month. People in Hollywood can afford these expensive injections, and they're taking them.
Right.
And they're not necessarily people with obesity.
Yeah.
Wegovy. And most insurance companies.
Oh, maybe Wegovy sponsored this 60 Minutes advertisement to make insurance companies cover Wegovy.
Refuse to cover it, partly because these drugs have not yet been proven to work well for long-term weight management.
Hello?
And can have complications and adverse impacts on patients.
Hello?
You know, that's why these drugs are dosed, starting with low doses.
And build up.
And build up.
Dr. Apovian's,
yes, always pumping you full of more and more,
says most of the side effects go away over time.
It's only been out 3 years. It really ain't been out long enough to know about if the side effects go away, baby.
And we can't give them this fabulous, robust medication that is very effective and safe. And we can't give it to them because
we're going to see how this ages in about 6 years. We're going to see. So as y'all just saw, that 60 Minutes shill, that hired actor who was shilling Ozempic, just said that on average, patients will lose 15 to 22% of their weight. That's a drastic difference between what we actually heard earlier on advertisements that said that patients would lose on average 12 to 14 pounds, which we'll play here.
Adults lost up to 14 pounds.
And this woman, like they told you in the 60 Minutes clip, is on the advisory board for companies that produce this medication, including Novo Nordisk, which produces Wegovy, but we'll get to that in a second. So it ain't just like the traditional news media, which apparently you can buy advertisements on 60 Minutes. Who knew? I didn't. But it's also other forms of media that have been contributing to pushing Ozempic. Let's look at Bravo next. So just the other day on Instagram, a TV writer, Gary Janetti, made a post that said, "This summer on Bravo, the Real Housewives of Ozempic." To which fellow pusher Andy Cohen responded, "It's already a thing." Andy has been constantly asking his guests on his show about Ozempic and whether they take it pretty much all year. In April of this year, so just a couple months ago, Dolores Catania from The Real Housewives of New Jersey admitted to using Ozempic on Watch What Happens Live. Here's a clip of that.
Hello, you look thin.
Thank you.
Ozempic?
Yep.
Oh, are you?
No way.
Yeah. Are you on Ozempic?
Yeah.
What housewife isn't on Ozempic?
Not
You're
one.
Not. Yeah, no.
Not her.
Half your cast.
I know.
I mean, yeah.
I wasn't going to come to a reunion looking any bigger than anyone else. So
See, it's like that shame thing. Like, that isn't about her health. We just heard this whole push about health and diabetes, and you wouldn't say that to somebody with hypertension. This isn't for hypertension. She said I wasn't going to come here looking bigger. It's about vanity, and it's about this constant push that you're going to get discriminated against by even your doctor. A doctor said that your doctor will discriminate against you. 97% of them. And here she is. I'm not going to look bigger than the rest of them. And you can't even blame her. It's all being pushed.
I got on the bandwagon.
Wow. So, Dolores, how long have you been on the Ozempic?
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah. It's actually Monjuro. It's another part of it.
Oh, that's the amped up version.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
You're
Yeah, that's
kidding?
the fast forward to Skinnyville.
The fast forward to Skinnyville, girl. That's the fast forward to Skinnyville. So you see kind of a little bit of a buildup, right? At first, it's doctors and medical professionals, even though they work for these companies that make these drugs and they're literally being paid to advertise them, but let's not go there. First, it starts there. They desperately need it. It's a brain disease. It's a genetic disorder. It's medical. Insurance companies don't cover it. It's $15,000 a month or some crazy shit. Why don't y'all go ask your boss, Novo Nordisk, or whoever that spends billions of dollars a year in advertising, why they can't take some of that money, put it toward R&D or whatever and make the drugs cheaper. It's just, we just take it for granted. It's $900 a month. Just take it for granted. Why don't y'all ask them to make it cheaper? No. Got to ask insurance companies to cover it, driving up prices for everybody else, all because somebody want to look skinny. But if it's a brain disorder, that's justifiable. But then you have these kind of low-level reality TV people saying, yeah, I had to do it because I was feeling pressure to look skinny. Everybody else is doing it, so I had to do it. Then it escalates even farther from medical conditions to like a social experiment party or whatever. It's still on Bravo, but now we're talking about Amy Schumer. Recently, she appeared on Andy Cohen's show and called out celebrities for lying about taking Ozempic and related medications. When I say Ozempic, I mean, you know, all of the semaglutides or whatever. Let's go. All the semaglutides, all them compounds that just came out. That's what I'm talking about when I say Ozempic. So Amy Schumer revealed that she had to stop taking the drug because she couldn't play with her kids anymore.
The Trainwreck actress admits that she immediately invested in Ozempic about a year ago.
Like a year ago, I tried it.
Okay.
You know, it's like, you know, you try it. And I was one of the people that felt like so sick and like couldn't like play with my son. I was so skinny and I was just like he was throwing a ball at me and I was just... And you're like, okay, this isn't livable for me. But I immediately invested because I'm like, everyone and their mom's going to try it.
Immediately invested in something that made her feel sick and she couldn't even play with her kid? That sounds deranged and depraved. Anyway, in January, Chelsea Handler went on a podcast that's on all the podcast platforms and YouTube and stuff. It's called Call Her Daddy. I don't know what that girl's name is. She interviewed Jamie Lynn Spears. It was a disaster.
Literally,
But Chelsea Handler went on that podcast and claimed that she didn't even know, allegedly, that she was taking Ozempic. And her doctor just, quote, hands it out. She also said that she personally injected 4 to 5 of her friends with Ozempic. And she offered to inject the Call Her Daddy podcast girl's friend with it. I don't know. That seems illegal. Is that legal? Just be passing out your pharmaceutical medications and telling everybody that you do? I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I think she shouldn't have been doing all that. We'll just play the clip.
I've injected about 4 or 5 of my friends with Ozempic because I realized I didn't want to use it because it's silly. Like it's, you know, for heavy people. I had people.
Is it for heavy people or is it for diabetics? See how the slope has already slipped so far from hypertension and brain disorder. Now it's just anybody heavy. Anybody heavy.
People coming over to my house and I was like, okay, I can see you at 1. I can see you at 2.
The DEA need to take a trip.
Well, so my doctor, my anti-aging doctor, just hands it out to
What's an anti-aging doctor? It's like a witch doctor.
Anybody, right? She said, oh, if you ever want to drop, because I said, she goes, if you ever want to drop 5 pounds, this is good.
It went from diabetes, brain disorder regulation to drop 5 pounds. That's where we've slipped. So as y'all can see, the slope keeps slipping on whether it's for brain disorders, genetic disorders, losing 5 pounds. Who really knows? It's safe to be injected by Chelsea Handler, I guess, for some reason or whatever. But something that we should talk about is like what it actually does. And what it actually does is curbs patients' appetite. Sometimes through different mechanisms, sometimes because you're real nauseous or whatever.
It mimics a hormone that makes you feel full longer, reduces food cravings, and suppresses your appetite.
How did you feel about food when you were on Ozempic?
Looking at a bag of Doritos was kind of looking at a pair of socks.
No matter how little I seemed to eat in that sitting, I would get nauseous or I would throw it up.
So I definitely ate less.
Your appetite often gets curbed on this medication, and that can lead to malnutrition in many cases. Many people on the drugs do see drastic weight loss, especially in their face, and it makes people look gaunt and malnourished. It's basically the same effect as the equally popular trend of removing the fat out of your face, the buccal fat removal. That's just very weird. There's been so much talk about Ozempic face. Many celebrities are actually having to deny taking it altogether. So let's talk about where this drug even originated.
Danish pharmaceutical company Novo Nordisk.
Novo Nordisk?
Shares of Novo Nordisk have been on a tear the last few months.
Most would say it's impossible, but we don't listen too much.
The Novo Nordisk Foundation seeks to improve the health of human beings and the planet on which we live.
And that's why we really focus on promoting it the right way.
2 of the company's newer drugs show rapid growth.
In 1922, the Danish Nobel laureate August Roll traveled to Toronto, where researchers had just discovered insulin.
These are our clear goals.
Get full sooner, and then it enhances the release of insulin, and that helps.
These drugs have not yet been proven to work well for long-term weight management.
You are changing perceptions, convincing the doctors every day.
Probably the strongest launch we have ever made.
Novo Nordisk is a global healthcare company founded in 1923 in Denmark. Their main objective is to create diabetes and obesity-related medications. Novo Nordisk has created dozens of different insulin injections and first developed Ozempic all the way back in 2012. The FDA did approve Ozempic for people with diabetes in 2017, but it is not, still to this day, approved on label by the FDA for weight loss in people who don't have diabetes or some insulin problem. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Y'all can go read. Here, we'll put up the on-label use right here. Bing, ding. But back in 2021, so like 2 years ago, the FDA, the US Food and Drug Administration, did approve another version of Ozempic called Wegovy, which is also still just that semaglutide injection. This one was like 2.4 milligrams, and they approved it, the FDA approved that for chronic weight management in adults with obesity and adults who are just simply overweight. This drug, Wegovy, so similar to Ozempic, but not exactly the same, was also manufactured by the same company, Novo Nordisk. So we're about to watch a clip on CBS from around the time where they first approved Wegovy for weight loss. Let's take a look.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. We're learning more about the first weight loss drug approved by the FDA in 7 years. Wegovy is what it's called. It got FDA approval just a few days ago. Participants in a clinical trial lost an average of 17% of their body weight over 16 months. The self-administered weekly injection is expected to cost more than $1,300 a month.
Nobody's asking why. Nobody asked why it costs that much. Nobody said that's too damn expensive. It's so important. We need it. No.
Dr. John LaPook joins us now to discuss. I hope you.
Oh my God, we're going to do a whole investigation into this guy. Just, ooh.
I hope you brought your prescription pad. I'm telling you, a lot of people are very interested. I have a friend of mine who's on it who lost 15 pounds in 1 week. What?
That don't sound healthy. That don't sound healthy. You're not supposed to lose 15 pounds in a week.
15 pounds in 1 week.
That's a lot in 1 week. A lot of that must have been water weight, but yeah.
Well, we'll take water weight. We will take water weight.
We go.
So if you once you start it, do you have to stay on it?
Yes.
Take it for a while, get
yes,
the
you do,
effect, and then get off of it.
After 20 weeks, some people continued, and other people just went on placebo. The people who went on placebo gained back more than half of their weight. Wow. So it's something that you do have to continue to use. But I want people to know that there is a black box warning, because in rodents, there was found to be a rare type of thyroid cancer. Now, this has not been shown to be a problem in humans. But
side effects, though? Are there side effects?
Yeah.
This man just differentiate the rodent study from the human study. Why does this man think that we do studies on rats? This doctor. We just do it. Ethan, do we do study? Why do we do studies on rats? Just to check?
Yeah, just
to make sure how it affects the rats. In the rats, there was thyroid cancer, but it hasn't been done in humans. How many damn rat studies have they relied on to get the drug passed? I bet every single study. Ethan, can you Google how many billions of dollars a year they do rat study? I need to know how many are studied. I need to know how much money is wasted on rat studies. Because if we're not going to be able to use what we find in the rat studies to apply it to humans, then what is the point? How much do rats? Yeah, I don't know.
How much does a rat cost? Like, should I just look up how much does rat testing cost? Like a rat.
The whole world too, because this ain't even an American company.
Not
we
in
can
the
start
US?
with the U.S. I mean, this is not a U.S. based company.
So it says about $100. It says on this website for that's genetically modified rats. Hold on. What did I search? Hold on. Well, it says that 100 million rats and mice were used per year.
Oh my God, wait.
In 2017.
Look at the one below that. Then NIH, who did sponsor that Biggest Loser study, spends $14 billion a year in taxpayer dollars on experimenting on rats. Did y'all know or it says animal. Y'all know we were spending our taxpayer money on experimenting on rats, and apparently it doesn't even mean anything for humans according to John LaPook. Can you do Novo Nordisk? How much did Novo Nordisk spend on rat studies? Stem cells. I think they might. Yep. Look, there it is right there. The semaglutide study that Novo Nordisk did with NIH on the rats. So, I mean, I guess they're just doing studies on rats just to check, just to see how it affects the rats, just for fun. All right, y'all. I don't know. I feel like that was very disingenuous of that man, LaFook. But come to find out, he's a propaganda pusher too, and we're gonna have a whole video on that man coming out. Also, apparently you can buy like inbred mice and they cost less. I want to know if the mice in the study was inbred, because apparently that makes a difference. I did not know you could pay less for mice if they're their own first cousin or something. Very strange. We're gonna do a whole video on that too. Anyway.
Oh, I have a clip for you. This is the Paramount Plus clip of LaPook.
brought to you by Pfizer.
I need a break. I gotta go. Before we even got to the video, brought to you by Pfizer.
There's a lot of confusion among people and misinformation surrounding face masks. Can you discuss that? The mask.
Anyway, that's John LaFouque. What's his name?
Dr. Jonathan LaPook.
Pook, not Fook. So just to give you an idea of what this guy does, that's him. That's him talking to Fauci about don't wear a mask. The point is, look at the guy's resume and what he does. So all that apparently, allegedly, reportedly happened over the years with our good friends over at Novo Nordisk, established in Denmark in 1923. And then, I guess 100 years after its founding, but only a couple months ago, Novo Nordisk was suspended for 2 years from the Association of the British Pharmaceutical Industry for, quote, serious breaches of its code of conduct. And the complaint alleged that Novo Nordisk sponsored courses, like administer their medicine basically, on weight management on LinkedIn for health professionals, but they did not make it clear that those courses were sponsored by Novo Nordisk. So apparently they got suspended. There's a whole complaint. Probably could have made a whole video on that, but they got in trouble very recently, like literally this year, for not disclosing their connection, which will come in handy very, very soon. But before we get to that, so we talked a little bit about the mainstream media, the traditional news media, reality shows, Hollywood, celebrities, talk shows, late night, etc., podcast, all that. Now we're gonna get a little bit into the social media push. Now you don't have to look very far on YouTube to find like hundreds of videos of people giving their first-hand accounts of using these drugs. One video that stood out was a video on, quote, talking with docs. This channel does have 367,000 subscribers. This is the last clip we're going to react to together, I promise. It's just like this one, this clip right here is what I said, no, we have to show the people this, have to react to this myself.
I'm Dr. Alice Chang, endocrinologist.
Awesome. Today we have Dr. Chang has come as an endocrinologist to talk to us about the many, many interesting things about endocrinology. And today we're talking about
this is the most awkward ass setup I ever did see.
Very hot topic, particularly on social media, Ozempic.
So exciting to have a real doctor on the show today.
I don't know about that.
She not a real doctor?
So exciting to have a real doctor on the show today.
I don't know about that.
All right. So
why is that funny? So excited to have a real doctor on the show. I don't know about that. Why'd she say that? Is she not a real doctor? I understand comedy. I like a good joke, but edit that. That should have got edited out, girl.
So what is all the hype and why does Ozempic matter to people?
So just to put it in perspective, Ozempic is a medication called semaglutide. And semaglutide's a big word. And
it's not a big word. I think a kindergartner could say it once you learn how to say it. I mean, it's spelled kind of weird, but it's more infantilization. Like, people ain't stupid. I don't know about that. First of all, pick a side. Are you a smart doctor that knows big words? Or are you a stupid idiot who don't know big? Like, pick a side. Doesn't this look like a Sesame Street set? Don't this look like Elmo and like Oscar and Bernie or something? Like, we're doctors. Her. I don't know about that. Big word. It's not a big word. Semaglutide. It's not a big word. It's like supposed to be demystifying this big scare. It's not a big word. It's actually probably not a big word, literally by design and on purpose. Big word. Big word that only doctors who aren't really doctors, har. I'm not a doctor. I'm just your pal on Sesame Street. That's what I'm getting.
It belongs.
Sponsored by Novo Nordisk. Just kidding. I don't know if that's true. It's a joke.
GLP-1 receptor agonist, which again is
type 2. See, the part they really should be explaining, they just put it in this little, they just put a ting, and then it goes away. You don't even know what they, I don't know. Apparently she really is an expert in this field, which we will get to, but look at this man's face. Okay, anyway, whatever that push was, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, Ethan saw that clip and had questions, so he went and investigated and found a few connections. And honestly, it is a real investigation. Let's get into it. So upon just quickly Googling Dr. Alice Chang, the endocrinologist from that video, we found that she works at Trillium Health Partners, Unity Health, Toronto, and she works as an associate professor, so not a tenured professor, but she teaches classes and stuff at the University of Toronto in Canada. Now, keep this University of Toronto connection in mind because it does become important in about 3 points. So Alice Chang was also busted on the Novo Nordisk website speaking at a virtual conference about oral semaglutide in June 2021. So let's put these pieces together. We just saw her on that huge YouTube channel advertising for semaglutide, telling people how it works, telling people it's so good, all that. The channel has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. We'll put it in here how many views that exact video got, but it was a marketing campaign. It was a marketing push. So that woman goes and tells all the people on YouTube that will listen, Dr. Alice Chang, about all this great stuff about semaglutide, GLP-1. She ain't a real doctor, is a real doctor. I don't really know. I don't know what that joke was about still. It was very weird to me that she said that. But look at this. She was a featured speaker at a Novo Nordisk conference right at the same exact time of that clip we just saw with Gail talking about she just wants to lose 10, 15 pounds. It's so great. Water weight, let's lose it, and all that. Look at this. The same woman. Alice Y.Y. Chang, MD, endocrinologist, Trillium Health Partners. This virtual conference was held 3 months before the Novo Nordisk trials began on the oral semaglutide, which just came out just a couple months ago as the time of recording this video. But she's all intertwined with Novo Nordisk, the people who make semaglutide in the form of Ozempic and Wegovy. This woman works for them. She speaks at their conferences. And it doesn't end there. There's more connections. The study recently concluded in March 2023, so it's June right now, so 3 months ago this study concluded. It had enrolled 667 obese or overweight patients and aimed to evaluate the safety, tolerability, efficacy on body weight reduction in overweight or obese patients taking oral semaglutide versus placebo. Everything we've been talking about has been injections. Remember Chelsea Handler's like, we gotta inject ourselves, all that, whatever. This is a pill. Importantly, in that study, the oral semaglutide was combined with diet changes and increased exercise. So while they do have all these doctors out here saying that diet and exercise and willpower apparently have absolutely no effect on anyone's weight loss, they did go ahead and include that as part of the parameters of the study where they made people diet and exercise. So I don't know how those two things can be reconciled, but hey, look, listen, I'm not a Novo Nordisk sponsored doctor, so maybe I just wouldn't get it. I don't know. Now, I did look up on NIH that study. And as it turns out, the doctors who performed the study are not mentioned anywhere on the study. I had a hunch that it could have been Dr. Alice Y.Y. Chang, but we don't really know. I don't know. You have to literally email the company to ask them who did it, and I'm probably not going to be able to get an answer after this video comes out. Anyway. So remember we're talking about those connections between Dr. Alice Chang and Novo Nordisk? Check this out. As y'all know, we love a good timeline on this channel. So just a few months prior to that conference, this would have been February 2021, Novo Nordisk and the University of Toronto, hello, remember them? Remember I told you, remember that? Formed a partnership. So Novo Nordisk, who definitely pays Alice Chang or has paid her for several years, presumably to advertise for them, but I don't know, I didn't see the contract. And University of Toronto, where Dr. Alice Y.Y. Chang works, right? Remember you saw that whole thing? They formed a partnership, the university and the pharma company. And the partnership was called the Novo Nordisk Network for Healthy Populations in Mississauga, Ontario. And the purpose of it was to create and translate diabetes research into effective public health interventions. Sounds familiar. Moving on. The director of the network, Dr. Lorraine Lipscomb, claims Mississauga will be the perfect field study for diabetes interventions because it represents a comparatively high number of, quote, newcomers. And then she goes on to define the newcomers. Listen to the newcomers who are disproportionately affected by diabetes, including South Asians, that's like, you know, Indian people, stuff like that, Indigenous and Black communities. How in the hell is somebody Indigenous a newcomer? Nothing these people say makes any damn sense to me. This is so upside down, open air prison clown world. I can't even wrap my mind around it. How is an Indigenous person who was here before, like by definition, anyone else, the newcomer? Anyway, this director of the network also claims that they will be utilizing advanced technologies like AI to analyze public health data to fuel this type of research. We have a whole video coming out on Alice Chang, so I really don't want to get too in the weeds, but this is a different lady. So if all that circumstantial evidence of Alice and Novo Nordisk's connections to one another didn't convince you, how about the time that she actually admitted it? More than once. Here's an article that she authored this month at the time of the recording of this video. Dr. Chang reports receiving personal fees from Abbott, AstraZeneca, Bausch, Bayer, Boehringer Ingelheim, Dexcom, Eli Lilly, who also has their hand in the Ozempic, Wegovy, this type of medicine market, Janssen, HLS Therapeutics, don't know who that is, Medtronic, Merck, Novartis, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi. Okay, Dr. Alice YY Chang, who y'all just saw on that Sesame Street broadcast with those two bumbling buffoons, telling you that semaglutide is a big word, is sponsored by 10 pharma company: Abbott, AstraZeneca, Bausch, Bayer, Boehringer, Dexcom, Eli Lilly, Janssen, 10, 14.
How is that not a conflict of interest with the...
It is.
Like...
Some of these
the competing companies.
Some of these things, sections on these papers don't say disclosures. They say conflicts of interest or competing interest. So that's not all. Let's scroll to the next example. That article we just saw, that one came out this month, but this is nothing new for Alice. Look at this study that was actually published all the way back in like 2013 or 2014. There's a disclosure in this one also, NIH study published almost 10 years ago with proof. She was on the Novo Nordisk payroll even all the way back then. This is the people that are coming and telling you how safe and effective this drug is. This is the same people who are doing the studies. This is the same people being paid. They're having to disclose to us they're being paid.
Hello, I like money.
And so here's our stupid asses. Oh, well, studies done by doctors show that semaglutide is totally... Okay, well, who are these doctors? This is insulting. And does it surprise me? No, it really does not surprise me. But it infuriates me. She's talking to me like I'm stupid on a YouTube channel whenever she's the one doing the studies, getting paid by the company, advertising for the company, doing speeches and presentations for the company at the company conference. It's infuriating. Anyway, I still want to know if the rats they used were inbred. Anyway, this is nothing new for us either, because a lot of this stuff is starting to sound familiar. Speaking of the University of Toronto, we have another Canadian we're keeping up with on this channel, Selima Yevremovich. In an article on theglobeandmail.com, a monthly diabetes awareness report reads, the University of Toronto is globally recognized as a leader in diabetes research and artificial intelligence with game-changing discoveries in both fields. Researchers are bringing together these two great strengths to drive innovation in the management of diabetes. AI holds enormous potential to transform diabetes care and management. It's already being used to analyze large sets of population health data to establish predictive models for use in various applications, such as helping clinicians predict whether individual patients will develop diabetes. Why? So y'all can start targeting advertisements to them sooner? Novo? Just asking. Can't wait for that cease and desist. Anyway, we've seen this before, this whole analyze the data and sell it to people and insurance companies bullshit, and it was Lima from ours.
Hey Lima, who's the perfect avatar of the first major client bases that you want to go after?
Insurance companies, because they're the payers. And also Apple just announced about 2 weeks ago that they're going into the insurance market. They're going to start using data from devices to save money on insurance costs. And that's essentially what our platform does.
I'm not saying that's what Novo is doing, but it wouldn't come as a surprise. So the director of external affairs at Novo Nordisk Canada, his name's Adam, and he's also a spokesperson for the whatever in the hell the city's changing diabetes foundation is. He says, quote, using satellite images and data on how people move around a community can help us determine all the facets of the environment that affect diabetes rates. That can bring us to making changes to transit and infrastructure as additional components of diabetes prevention. You gonna reroute people to a different train or something if they got diabetes on the horizon? I don't get it. I do not understand all this tracking shit, and I don't want to be tracked. Y'all will not catch me with any of that shit on my face. No Apple Vision for me. Anyway, despite all this already alarming connection stuff going on and all the big business of it all, there's actually dangers associated with the medication itself that I don't think have been adequately discussed, other than poo-pooing it off like, oh, it's just rats. June 2023, the New York Post came out with an article about Ozempic, which again, girl, I mean, I don't trust none of these newses, okay, including them, but here we go. Somebody's reporting on it finally. The article warned that there's many doctors now coming forward trying to blow the whistle on these additional, less talked about side effects. They go into each side effect and examine patients experiencing blurred vision, thyroid tumors, thought that was only in rats. Look, what's the name? Whatever. Thought that was only in rats, Anyway, pancreatitis, gallstones, malnutrition, digestion issues, and even kidney failure. So it didn't end there with that New York Post article. I mean, there have been people coming forward with their own anecdotal experience of having bad side effects, but here, take a few more examples. Don't take it from me.
My doctor brought up Ozempic to me because I actually am diabetic. I'm one of those people who didn't find weight loss in Ozempic. I started with these little panic attacks out of nowhere. I'd be in public and I would just feel the highest level of doom that I can explain. Ending, oh my gosh, I need to run and jump thing that I can feeling that would last for a few seconds.
So I got my first injection and immediately I got some very serious trigger warnings. Hit with a literal poop storm the day after starting this drug. You know the absolute agony, meaning pain, that it physically causes in your intestines. Well, buyer beware, because that pain has nothing on Ozempic.
Food, when I did eat, tasted like nothing. Like if you ever had COVID and then you really don't taste the food, that's kind of like what it did.
So as we've already mentioned several times, and as you've heard in these news clips that we did play, a 1 month supply of this medication, depending on which brand name you get and stuff like that, could be anywhere from $900 to like $1,400 a month. And that's just the prices we've seen advertised. It's big business, and it makes a lot of sense why the marketing strategy would be to make people want it and demand it from their insurance companies, because it's expensive. Novo Nordisk does offer coupons for the drug, but a lot of people are even going across the border to find their semaglutide injections. Ozempic has become so popular that some places in Canada have had to ban Americans from crossing the border to get it. There's even online services similar to the ones for mental health, like BetterHelp, and these companies offer Ozempic type drugs completely online with overnight shipping for those people who can afford it. CNBC also reported that analysts are projecting the market for these drugs to be as large as $80 billion just for the quote on-label uses. Although semaglutide does come with that black box warning about the potential risks of developing thyroid cancer, Novo Nordisk claims it's just rat. That only happens to rats. That don't happen to people. I don't know why we doing rat study. I'm still so aggravated. That's the thing I'm the most mad about, that rat shit. Anyway, Novo Nordisk has also recently responded to a new investigation on the matter by European Medicines Agency, and Novo Nordisk has said that large clinical trial programs and post-marketing surveillance have not demonstrated a causal association between semaglutide and thyroid cancer. It's only rats. If you're not a rat, you can't get cancer, according to these people, I guess. But that doesn't stop them. Even this rat throat cancer thing, that don't stop them. They keep it pushing.
Stop Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck.
It really does honestly seem like they took PR notes from Michaela Nogueiro, because they just were not going to address it at all. Also, not only is Alice accepting compensation from Eli Lilly, she actually did perform a study that just came out like last month, I think, on basically semaglutide, but it was the study was sponsored by Eli Lilly instead of Novo Nordisk, but I'm sure she don't really care who's giving her a paycheck. She'll do it for anybody, seems like. But her 14 pharma companies sponsoring her. Anyway, it seems like semaglutide, Ozempic, whatever you want to call it, is not going away anytime soon, and we're just gonna have to wait and see what the eventual long-term effects are on people. Again, I am not a doctor. Never claimed to be, never honestly, even I don't think even wanted to be really. No, I'm not a doctor, despite my white coat. You can do your own research, and I actually highly advise you to do so. I know y'all all went to school and college and things and learned how to read these studies. Why don't you go read a couple of them? Also, this is not to hate on anyone who already is on this drug, or even if you want to take it in the future. I'm not actually holding it against any single person who's taken it. I totally understand the pressures to do so, and I actually do understand that for some people, it truly is almost impossible to lose weight. It really is, even with diet, even with exercise. For some people, this could be a miracle, but it's like any other very potent drug. Like I'm thinking of Accutane and stuff like that. It's like you have to really know what the research is, who performed it, who paid for it, what happened to the rats in the study, because it's pretty damn important what happened to the rats in the study. Why would they even be testing on rats if it wasn't important? I'm still so mad about those damn rats. As usual, it isn't even just one industry, and it isn't even just one culprit. It's all of them in power working together. Hollywood, pharmaceuticals, media, 60 Minutes, these TV doctors like Fauci and LaPook. It's just all the same people working to push the same things over and over again on us. And by same things, I mean shit they make money off of, and that might actually hurt us. That's all I really had for today. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, Media K. Bye.